You arrive in New York in the 1860s, without ceremony, without warning, without even the courtesy of a clean breath. The ship nudges against the dock along the East River, and the first thing that greets you is not opportunity, not promise, not Lady Liberty, with her torch politely lifted. She has not yet been built. Instead, you're welcomed by heat, thick, wet, suffocating heat, and a smell that presses against your face like a damp rag forgotten in a cellar. The harbour steams with rot. Dead fish roll in the shallows. Sludge laps lazily at the pier posts, as if it, too, is tired of existing. You step forward, and your boot sinks into something that was once mud, but has since evolved into a complex ecosystem of manure, coal soot, spit, and whatever the city's 500,000 residents have flung into the street with casual indifference. Congratulations, you are home. The skyline looks wrong. No glass towers, no polished ambition, only crooked chimneys coughing black breath into the sky and church steeples stabbing upward like thin fingers begging forgiveness. Masts of ships crowd the river like a forest of splintered bones. Somewhere nearby, a horse screams. Not neighs, screams. It is dragged by a cart piled with barrels and dreams that will likely sour before nightfall. The streets rumble constantly, wheels grinding against cobblestones, hooves striking sparks, drivers shouting threats that carry the warmth of genuine intent. If you hesitate while crossing, you will be flattened. There are no traffic rules here, only momentum and indifference. And you, soft and startled, are an inconvenience. You wander inland because there is nowhere else to go. The streets narrow, and the light thins. Laundry hangs between buildings like surrender flags. The air grows heavier, flavoured now with boiled cabbage, tobacco smoke, and the unmistakable perfume of human proximity. You have entered the district known as the 5 Points, though it feels less like geometry, and more like a wound that refuses to close. The buildings lean inward, as if conspiring. Windows stare without glass. Children with hollow eyes study you from doorways, calculating your value. You look clean. This is unfortunate. They have settled into a damp mattress beneath your boots. Pigs wander freely, snouts rooting enthusiastically through the city's leftovers. They are efficient, at least. When a woman empties a chamber pot from a second-story window, the pigs consider it a blessing. You consider it a reason to reconsider your life choices. But there is no reconsidering. You are here now, and here does not care about your discomfort. You pass a tavern where laughter spills into the street like cheap ale. Inside, men argue politics with fists and furniture. The city is restless. The nation trembles on the edge of civil war, and New York hums with resentment and rumour. Irish immigrants crowd the tenements, blamed for everything from unemployment to bad weather. Nativists mutter darkly about purity while stealing wallets. Everyone claims righteousness. Everyone smells terrible. You learn quickly that morality here is flexible, especially when rent is due. A gang of young men blocks the alley ahead. They wear red shirts and stovepipe hats, theatrical in their aggression. One twirls a club as though he expects applause. These are the Bowery Boys, or perhaps their rivals, the Dead Rabbits. It scarcely matters. Their loyalties shift with coin and convenience. They study you with lazy interest. You feel the weight of your pockets as though they are glowing. A grin spreads across one face, friendly in the way wolves are friendly. You consider turning back, but another group emerges behind you. The city is efficient at closing exits. Violence here is not explosive. It is casual. A brick flies, a knife flashes, someone falls. The crowd barely pauses. You learn that pain is background noise. Blood seeps into the same mud that swallowed your boots earlier. It will dry, flake, and rejoin the street. Everything returns to the street. The police, when visible, appear more invested in choosing sides than maintaining order. A uniformed officer leans against a lamppost, watching the scuffle with professional detachment. Perhaps he has been paid already. Perhaps he is simply tired. Either way, you are on your own. Night arrives without mercy. Gas lamps flicker uncertainly, their light thin and jaundiced, shadows stretch long and deliberate. You search for shelter because the darkness here does not sleep. It prowls. A tenement door stands open, inviting in the way traps invite. Inside, the stairwell smells of damp wood and breath. You climb carefully, each step sticky with history. A room is offered for a few coins. Not a room, precisely, but a portion of floor. Bodies lie shoulder to shoulder, strangers sharing heat and fleas. The air is thick enough to chew. A baby coughs somewhere in the darkness, a wet, persistent sound that suggests tomorrow is not guaranteed. If you cannot afford the floor, there is the rope. A thick rope stretches across a narrow room, and men lean against it upright, asleep, in exhausted defiance of gravity. At dawn, the rope will be lowered, and they will collapse like discarded coats. It is efficient, you suppose. The landlord collects coins with brisk cheer. Hospitality, New York style. You lie down eventually, surrendering to fatigue. The mattress beneath you rustles. Something small and determined explores your sleeve. Rats claim equal tenancy here. Bedbugs conduct nightly feasts with admirable dedication. You scratch until your skin protests. Around you, coughing punctuates the darkness. Deep, rattling coughs that speak of lungs surrendering slowly. Cholera whispers through contaminated water. Tuberculosis lingers in the air like a patient creditor. You drink gin because it burns less than the thought of the well. It tastes of turpentine and regret. Morning brings no freshness, only more noise. Vendors shout the virtues of oysters harvested from harbour waters that double as sewers. You eat one anyway, because hunger negotiates poorly. The oyster slides down with briny confidence. You wonder briefly if it will be your last decision. Nearby, a child no older than 6 darts between carts, selling newspapers with ink-stained fingers. His voice cracks as he announces headlines about distant battles and political speeches. He will likely never read them. Childhood here is a rumour, not a phase. Factories belch smoke into a sky already exhausted. Women bend over sewing machines in dim rooms, stitching garments they will never wear. Fingers bleed quietly onto fabric destined for polite society. Prostitution flourishes along the Bowery, desperation perfumed and priced by the hour. Music drifts from concert saloons, cheerful and slightly off-key. Inside, laughter is practiced, not felt. You observe, you absorb, you persist. The city grows tense as whispers of conscription spread. The draft looms like a storm cloud swollen with resentment. Men argue in taverns about fairness while sharpening knives beneath the table. 3 years from now, riots will ignite these streets with fury so hot it will scorch memory itself. But even now, the anger simmers. You can taste it in the air, metallic and anticipatory. Fire breaks out without warning one afternoon. A spark, a shout, a rush of smoke. Buildings here are eager to burn. Volunteer fire companies arrive not only with hoses, but with grudges. They jostle for control of the hydrant, while flames climb hungrily. Axes swing, at doors, at rivals. The fire consumes what it pleases. Families lean from upper windows, choosing between smoke and gravity. The crowd watches with a fascination that borders on reverence. Destruction is entertainment when survival is repetitive. Days blur. You learn which alleys to avoid, which corners belong to which gang, which shopkeeper accepts bribes disguised as compliments. Your boots never fully dry. Your lungs adjust reluctantly to the soot. You stop flinching at screams. You begin to understand the rhythm of this place, a relentless percussion of need and nerve. You are not thriving, you are enduring. There is a difference, though it grows harder to articulate. One evening, as fog drifts in from the river, you stand at the edge of the docks again. The water reflects nothing clearly. Ships come and go, carrying hopeful passengers and silent cargo. Somewhere beyond the harbour lies possibility, but it feels abstract, almost fictional. Here, reality is immediate and abrasive. You inhale deeply, and the city enters you. Smoke, salt, sorrow. You would not survive here for long, not as you were. The city would sand away your softness, file down your outrage, teach you the mathematics of compromise. It would not hate you. It would simply continue. New York in the 1860s is not cruel by intention. It is cruel by design, assembled from ambition and neglect in equal measure. It doesn't promise fairness. It promises motion. And so you remain, another figure swallowed by brick and grime, listening to the distant rumble of a nation unraveling. The night settles once more over the 5 Points, heavy and unembarrassed. Somewhere, laughter erupts. Somewhere else, a body falls. The gas lamps flicker bravely against the dark. You close your eyes, not because you feel safe, but because exhaustion has claimed you. In this city, survival is the closest thing to victory. And even that feels temporary, like a match struck against endless wind.